What we're going to do next is we have our input shaft. We're going to go ahead and replace these Teflon sealing rings here and here. We're going to replace those and size those. So I have a little bit different way of going about this than some. Easiest way is to take a sharp pick, and break them to get them off. Break them. All right, now we got the old ones off. We have the new ones right here. Apply a little assembly lube where they're going to slide over. All right, just going to go ahead, set the shaft down. These have been warming up under a heater, so we're just going to go ahead and stretch those out a little bit. This is not how they tell you to do it. This is how I do it. Stretch them evenly. And go ahead and shove them on over the input shaft. You have to take care not to tear these or otherwise damage them, because then your shit won't work. So you gotta be careful, and it takes a little time. You can go ahead and get them worked over. They make a tool for this, but ours is broken. So I'll go ahead and get those into the correct place. Make sure they're not twisted, and it's just going to sit there just for a second. Right there. Get the next one, do basically the same thing. And slides down in there. And then we're going to press it back into shape to make it smaller. This is really the hardest part about putting it back together, getting these rings sized correctly without tearing them up. Let's go ahead and work it around, try and get them back smaller. All right, we're gonna let those sit for a minute. We're gonna do the same for these top two. These are a little harder because they're a little smaller. So what you can do is you can take a screwdriver, stretch it out a little bit. Just don't want to go too far. Sit in its slot correctly. Just kind of work it back into its original size. Just kind of gonna have to hold it. Make sure we get enough lube on there. That worked into the slot there. Now you want to size these by hand as much as you can so that you don't tear them up when you put the sizing tool on there. Now what you can do, if you don't have one of these Kent Moore sizing tools, this particular one for the small O-rings or the small Teflon rings is a J38736-7. If you don't have one of these, you can use a hose clamp and maybe a piece of aluminum can, but this is the preferred method. If you've got the tool, might as well use it. Now, if you do not size these by hand, you run the risk of tearing them up when you put the sizing tool on there. And if you've done like I've done here and make them too big, putting them together, putting them on the shaft, then it takes longer to size them by hand. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little assembly lube on this sizing tool. All right, go ahead and slide that in. Work it on, easy. Got the first ring through there. See it's tightened up nicely. So go ahead and flip it over because it's got two radiuses. So got the first one. We'll flip it over and get the second one. All right, slipped on like that. Flip it over. Get some assembly lube on the inside of this. This one will be a little tougher. Because it's just a little too big. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to pinch this Teflon ring against one of the lands, because that can tear it. We're just going to go ahead and size these by hand a little more. Try again. Here's one. We'll give that just a second. Shouldn't take too long. And we'll flip it over. Inspect. Make sure we didn't tear it up, which we did not. The way that's set on there, we're going to go ahead and put some more lube on it. Always inspecting to make sure and we're not tearing stuff up as we go. Just kind of work it up on there. All right, we've got our ring sizers on there, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this, we're going to set it on our tray out of our way. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our overdrive planet and clutch setup and get that put together. All right, so this is where we take our overdrive clutch piston. You put some transmission assembly lube on that and on the inner lip. Put some on the drum itself. Make sure that lip slides smoothly. Take that drum, or excuse me, that piston, drop it in there. Got work it down. This one doesn't need a special tool, but it does help to have a little patience, maybe even a little finesse. Get this thing down in here without tearing it up. Just kind of work it around. All right, now you got to shove down in there. Now when you get the return spring and the clip, let's go ahead and slide our return spring there. This is where we take our pliers. Go ahead and open that up a little bit. Get it jammed down in there. All right, now that's where I like to start. So that way, we're compressing this. We're not fighting. Put it on our spring compressor here. Sure is fairly lined up here. Get a heater kick on. It's cold as shit here in Tennessee right now. All right, now we'll take our pliers and our ring. Make it a little bit wider here. We got half of it on there, most of it. Take our pick. Work the rest of the way down. Pretty easy. Now the next thing we'll do, we'll go ahead and put our steels and clutches in there. All right, now first thing in, it's gonna be a steel with some transmission fluid on that. Don't need a whole lot. So our clutches have already been soaking in ATF. Alternate. Clutch steel, clutch steel. And we're going to finish it off with the pressure plate. We're going to make sure that we install that with the up facing up. Take our snap ring. Go ahead and get that worked in there. Alright, got our snap ring in there. We're going to go ahead and check the clearance now. An acceptable clearance on this one is going to be between 35 and 95 thousandths. So, we take our 35 thousandths. Got plenty of clearance there. And then 95. 30, 32. Ease up on it a little bit. There is, should be 62 thousandths. That is tight. The actual clearance on this clutch pack is probably around 60 thousandths, so it's right in the middle. Next, we're going to take our roller clutch assembly, and we're just going to ease that on down there. I like to put a little assembly lube on it so it slides and doesn't tear up immediately. Just kind of ease it on there. Something you want to look at, especially, I know I covered this in another video, but it's so important. These little tits on here are broken easily. So you got to go easy. And you don't want to press too hard. So you just kind of ease her on down in there. And those tits, for lack of a better term, are just going to sit on there. Just like that. You have a little movement. That's what it's supposed to do. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and throw this planet into some ATF. We want to make sure we get these pinions lubed up and this thrust bearing right here full of transmission fluid. Now we've got that done. Go ahead and drop that in there. Just the first thing you got to do is get the planets lined up. Spin, spin, spin. All right, now we can just go ahead and work it on down. And you'll notice once you get to a point where you engage that roller clutch, you can only turn it one way. Now, something you might have to do, and I basically have to do this on everyone, is get these clutches lined up, at least centered. You don't have to get the tits lined up on the clutches. But you got to get them centered, otherwise it won't slide together. They can fight you. This one is being a little aggravating. All right, got it in. All right, and you can see from how deep it sits that this one is seated all the way. Now, next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and slide our input shaft through, and for this we're going to have to take off our sizing ring. We don't need to take this one back off yet, and we're probably going to put that one back on and just let it sit. All right, so what I like to do here is lubricate the inside of this. Where some stuff is going to ride. So there's a bushing in there. You don't want to get some assembly lube on that. It'll just help you on down the road. Slide that through there. Easy. You don't want to tear up your you do not want to tear up your sealing rings. And that can happen if you're not careful. There we go. Looks like there might have just been a little trash on the splines, but we've got it through. And we take our O-ring, or excuse me, our clip, put it on our pliers, easy. Slide it on down there. Say easy. There we go. All right. Now we've got our input shaft and overdrive clutch assembly and all that put together. We're going to go ahead and ensure that we did not damage our Teflon sealing rings when we were sliding it through, which looks like we didn't. Go ahead and put our sizing tool back on, just like that. We're going to let this sit.